T-minus 15 seconds. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. Ignition.
Vehicle is pitching downrange.
Stage 1 chamber pressure is nominal.
T plus 40 seconds into flight. It is dark, but we can definitely hear Falcon 9. We have successfully lifted off from pad 39A at Kennedy Space Center, carrying our stack of Starlink satellites into orbit. Right now, we're currently throttling down the engines in preparation for max Q. That is the period of maximum aerodynamic pressure, where we'll experience the largest structural load on the vehicle during ascent. So slowing the vehicle down helps during this period.
Max Q.
And there is the call out for max Q. We've just passed the period of maximum aerodynamic pressure on Falcon 9. In about a minute, we have 3 events happening back to back. First up is main engine cutoff, also known as MECO. This is where all 9 Merlin engines on the first stage will shut off to slow the vehicle down in preparation for the second event, which is stage separation. During stage separation, the first and second stage will separate from one another, with the first stage starting to make its way back to Earth for a landing attempt on our drone ship, while the second stage continues its journey with the third event, Second Engine Start 1, also known as SES-1. During Second Engine Start 1, this is where we'll light the Merlin vacuum engine on the second stage and propel the second stage along with the Starlink satellites into orbit. The first event, MECO, should be happening in about 25 seconds. And there's an animation of where Falcon 9 is currently at, just heading east from the coast of Florida.
MECO.
Stage separation confirmed.
MVAC ignition.
And you saw the visuals on screen. The first stage separated from the second stage, making its way back to Earth. And we have a beautiful startup of the Merlin vacuum engine on the second stage. Coming up in a few seconds here is fairing deploy.
Fairing separation confirmed.
And off goes the fairing halves, exposing the batch of Starlink satellites on top of the second stage. As a reminder, we will be attempting to recover the fairing halves today with our recovery ships Go Searcher and Go Navigator.
Now, after that beautiful launch that we just barely couldn't see, Stage 2 heads towards its targeted drop-off orbit. Stage 1 is going to execute 2 burns in order to make its way back down to Earth. The first is the entry burn, where 3 of the M1D engines will reignite, and this will help slow the stage down as it re-enters the upper part of the Earth's atmosphere. The second burn is the landing burn. Now, this is a single engine burn that will bring the vehicle speed down rapidly in order to land on our drone ship, Of Course I Still Love You.
Acquisition of signal, Bermuda.
You can see in that video there that our second stage is looking good. Its nozzle is glowing from that burn that it's currently in. And again, our second stage is carrying our 60 Starlink satellites to LEO, or low Earth orbit. That's about 550 kilometers above the surface of the Earth. For reference, most satellites are actually in GEO, or geostationary orbit, which is over 1,000 kilometers above the surface of the Earth. And the reason that we have our Starlink satellites in this lower orbit is that it reduces the round-trip time that it takes for data to travel between the user and the satellite, reducing what is known as latency and improving performance in activities like video calls and online gaming. And again, you can't quite see the first stage, but it is coasting down, getting ready for the start of entry burn in about 40 seconds here. It is coasting using its 4 hypersonic grid fins and the occasional burst of nitrogen gas from its attitude control system. Again, if you're just joining us, we had a successful liftoff. Our first stage is returning, getting ready for its entry burn in 10 seconds here, and then our second stage is
saved.
Looking good with our Starlink satellites.
Stage 1, entry burn startup.
You heard the call out for stage 1 entry burn startup. Again, the entry burn will last about 20 seconds here.
Stage 1, entry burn shutdown.
We've had confirmation of a successful stage 1 entry burn. And if you've been following SpaceX news, this is actually the second landing that we're attempting in the past 12 hours.
Continue to follow nominal trajectories.
The first one being our Starship serial number 10, which successfully landed in South Texas just earlier this afternoon. And again, our first stage is designed to be reflown 10 or more times with minimal refurbishment between flights, and this is the 8th flight that this particular first stage has been on. In comparison with Starship, our Starship vehicle is designed to be fully reusable. Second stage continues to look good. And we are less than 30 seconds now from the start of our landing burn.
Stage 1, landing burn startup.
You heard the call out for our start of landing burn. This will be about 20 seconds. Hopefully we'll get a great video from our drone ship, Of Course I Still Love You. You can see it there on your left.
Stage 1, landing leg deploy.
Stage 2 FTS is saved.
Looks like we've briefly lost the video. Hopefully we can get a confirmation here soon about whether or not the first stage has successfully landed. Meanwhile, second stage is still looking good. We did just have confirmation of our successful stage 1 landing. This will mark our 75th successful recovery of an orbital class rocket, the 8th recovery of this particular booster, and our second landing in the past 12 hours. Again, this is the second time that we've recovered a booster for the 8th time. And in just a few seconds here, you're going to hear the call out for, well, we just had a call out for SECO 1, in fact, for our second stage, and a confirmation for a good orbit. And now that stage 2 is going to coast in this orbit for the next 35 minutes or so. And while that happens, we'll take a look at this animation showcasing where we are in the coast phase, and we'll see you back here at T plus 45 minutes for a second stage relight.